We all know, ever since the pandemic hit, every one of us has been stuck in the confines of our own home. Quarantine really made an impact on us. Schools are closed, shops are closed, we can't even go out, leaving us with nothing to do at home. Sure, when the quarantine first started, we got all the time to binge watch those TV series that we have been itching to watch. But, as we all have experienced, being locked up inside home after 3 to 4 months just make us feel empty. Do not worry, I have a proposal on how to fix that problem. To avoid feeling empty and bored, we can just fill up those free time with something new to do, like starting a new video game series or reading a book. Both occupies our time with something to do. But if you ask me, how about we occupy ourselves with something that can benefit us in the long run? Something that can help us in the future, like when applying for a job or when in an unexpected situations. What I mean by that is learning new skills. I know what you're thinking. Learning new skills while being stuck in home. Isn't that gonna be hard? And yes, I agree, I thought of the same thing at first. But after researching and trying it for myself, I realized that with the right step, learning new skills at home is not as bad as it sounds. As a matter of fact, it's quite easy. And so, I would like to provide a step-by-step guide to help you start learning new skills for yourself. Step 1. Pick a skill. There is probably hundreds of thousands of different skills out there. How will you know which one you would want to choose? Well, it depends. You could pick a skill based on what your planned career path is, or simply just out of passion. Say, if you're thinking about being a photographer in the future, you might want to start learning about photography while you have the time. And that skill will be developed even more on your journey towards becoming a professional photographer. This will probably give you a head start compared to others that are learning the same skill as you at a later age. On the other hand, if you are passionate about something, might as well choose a skill based on that. Say that you enjoy listening to music and have always been interested in music production. How about you choose that as the skill you want to start learning? As for me, I have always liked video games since the first time I tried one. So my passion towards video games led me to learning how to make my own game. Next up, step 2. Get to know why you want to learn the skill. A large number of people just say that they want to learn to play an instrument or learn speaking a language. Of course, those skills are valid and there is no problem with doing that. But without a specific goal, learning those skills would be useless. I'll try giving an example. Say that you want to learn a language. What do you want to learn it for? Is it for an exam? Is it so that you can talk with your foreign friend? Or is it so that you can write literature in the language? Depending on the reason you want to learn a skill, what you need to learn might differ. I'll give you another example based on my experience with learning to make a game. Am I learning to become a level designer or a programmer? Am I making a game in 3D or in 2D? Am I making an RPG game or a platformer? Depending on these questions, what I need to learn is different. In a 3D game, I would have to learn 3D modeling to make the assets needed in the game. But if I want to make a 2D game, I would have to learn to draw and design sprites. See what I mean? Moving on to step 3, which is deconstructing your skill. Skills often, if not all, are made up of simpler and smaller sub-skills. Sub-skills are skills that are a part of and necessary to another more complex skill. Deconstructing your skill allows us to learn the skill more effectively and efficiently. Try imagining this. It is easier to complete simple and small tasks compared to completing a large and difficult task. The same concept goes for learning a skill. Learning sub-skills first will help you when learning the bigger skill later, because most of what you need to learn now, you have encountered while practicing the sub-skills before. Some skills have almost hundreds of sub-skills, while others have only 10 to 20 sub-skills that you need to learn. What you should know is that most sub-skills are something that we've been subconsciously doing all the time. For example, writing, reading, and speaking. Those simple things are what you would call a sub-skill. So don't be intimidated when you see the amount of sub-skills that a skill has. Whether it's recognizing a chord or the right way to strum a ukulele, with enough practice, it should be easy to learn. Now, moving on to actually learning the skill. Being at home, you don't have access to schools that teach you the skill that you want to learn. So what you need to do is that you need to gather resources that can help you. With the boom of technology in these recent years, information gathering now could not have been easier. So many people in the world are generous enough to share what they know. There are dedicated websites that are made just for helping others learn a skill. There are tutorials on many different video sharing platforms. What you need to do as the student is to find those resources. But do remember that the internet is free for anyone to use. Meaning, as much as there are people who share reliable information, there are also people who don't share reliable ones. Resources that have good reviews on them proves how reliable they are. When I was learning to make games, I referred to tutorials on YouTube by a channel called Brackies. They are a dedicated channel that provides tutorial on game development and are famous for doing so. Their good reputation is proof that their tutorials are reliable and trusted. Step 5. Practice. Never forget to practice what you learned. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. Unless you are some kind of superhuman, you won't automatically become an expert unless you practice and practice. Practice helps you remember what you learned, and most importantly, practice helps you improve the skills you learned. Each time you practice, you will realize that each session, you'll have a better understanding of what to do. For an example, playing the guitar. Each time you play the same song, you'll notice that you need less time to think to remember the chords of that song. As you practice more and more, there will come a point of time where you can play the song without needing to think. What I mean by that is the practice helped you memorize the whole song. Another example is when I was learning to make a game. One of the skills that I need to learn was coding. At first, I coded with countless of tabs in the background so that I can refer to websites to know how to write and what to write. But as I write more and more of the same structured codes, I find myself looking at the open tabs less and less. And the same concept applies to every other skills. Practice, 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 and you'll find yourself getting better and better. And the last step that many people look over, but is still important, is keeping yourself motivated. Of course, all the previous steps are the essentials of learning a new skill. But without motivation, you won't be able to do any of the previous steps. Motivation is what drives you to do something. There are many ways to stay motivated, one of which is to talk to people who are doing the same thing as you. Sharing experience with other people helps you see what things that you need to improve and what you did right. And the sense of satisfaction that you get when you know that you have been improving can drive you to improve even more. Other than that, when you lose motivation, try revising your goal again. Revise your main goal and break it down into simpler goals that is easier to achieve. Make long-term and short-term goals that you want to achieve throughout your journey of learning a skill. When seeing these new simpler goals that doesn't take as long to complete, you will think that learning skills is not as hard as you previously thought. This will help you regain the motivation that you lost. These steps of keeping yourself motivated is crucial in the process of learning new skills. After having experienced learning several skills while being in quarantine, these are my advice to anyone who also want to try doing the same thing as well. Follow these simple steps and I can guarantee that it will make your life much more easier. You may come across some obstacles in your journey, but you will learn to handle it as time passes on. I hope that these tips will be as useful to you as it was useful to me. Anyway, thank you for lending me your ears and best of luck.